It's time for Twist, the weekend sports talk, with your hosts, Mike Reeves, Matt Benz, and Greg Green Bay Bauman, coming live from Smoky's Pub and Grill. Here's your host.
What up, what up? We are live, and we are in East Bethel.
Where?
East Bethel.
Northern suburb. Yeah.
At Smoky's Pub and Grill. They have an autograph signing going on here at noon with the Chuck Foreman. So we're super jacked up. It's playoffs today, Vikes, so Skull baby. Thank you everybody for tuning in and watching. We're going to start off the show with an amazing phone interview guest, Eric Nordquist. Nordo from KFAN. So we're super stoked about that. So we're going to give him a buzz and just fire away. Let's do it.
Let's get him on the line.
Hey, this is Eric.
Yeah, baby, this is how we score. Our history is proud, and those other teams can't hear when we bring it way up loud. Yeah, playoff time is now, and we're going on a roll. So raise your glasses high and tell everybody score.
Eric Nordquist, Nordo, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, gentlemen?
How you
It's a
doing?
beautiful day for football, huh?
Oh, we're jacked up and ready. We're live right now in East Bethel at Smoky's Pub and Grill.
Giving it up. That's awesome, man. East Bethel all the way up 65 to Cambridge, farther up to Mora. And everybody in Kanabec County loves it up there.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
So
geography lesson for you.
little geography. So when I was doing a little background on you, you and I have some similarities in common, Nordo.
Oh boy.
Oh, what's that?
Well, we're both Mankato men. We both have a sales and marketing background. You have 4-year-old twin girls. I have almost 4-year-old twin boy and girl.
I am a twin.
Yeah, Green Bay Greg is a twin, and then we both drafted Big Cat with our first overall pick in fantasy basketball this year.
So for the most part, both of us have a similar emotional complex when it comes to fantasy basketball then, because the disaster that is his injury situation is ruining our winter vibe.
Yeah, questionable.
So what's up, guys? You're at Smoky's, and you're in East Bethel, and we are about, 4.5 hours or so from the kickoff, and it is an opportunity for this team, the Vikings, to win their the first time since '87 that they've actually won 2 playoff games in a postseason. It's very exciting.
Yeah, and that was against the Saints, beat the Saints, then went to San Fran and whooped them up to ultimately lose to the Redskins, but
yeah, we're pretty jacked up, to say the least, Nordo. Just to get out of our studio, come out here, new bloods and the whole podcasting thing. Just 3 guys, 3 buddies out here just talking sports on a weekly basis is pretty freaking lit. I'll tell you that.
No, that's sweet. The concept of it, I'm glad you guys do it, and I'm glad more people are doing it. Is we at KFAN, of course, we're compensated to say stupid things on the radio every single day. But as you guys and many like you get good friends together to talk about sports and the teams that you love. And hopefully they don't break your hearts, which with the Minnesota Vikings and Minnesota sports teams in general happens way too often. But just open up a mic, spout your opinions. And if people like it, maybe they'll listen again. I'm glad that you guys are doing this. This is cool.
yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah. So I like it. I like the uniqueness of our show. I know you guys have segments on KFAN for the same thing, but kind of getting that natural border rivalry just into a show. It makes it more fun. Plus, to be honest with you, I've lived up in Minnesota for 17 years now, and it helps educate me on Minnesota teams. Growing up in Wisconsin, this helps get me to understand more about Minnesota. The heartbreak, I'll be honest, all the way back from '98. It sucks. I would hate to be a Viking fan.
Oh, shut up.
Here he goes.
So speaking of the Vikes, Nordo, what are some of your keys to victory, to pulling out a win here today?
Well, we can get to the keys in a moment. I do want to acknowledge, though, it's a weird thing. It's Green Bay Greg, I believe.
Yep.
You were born in Wisconsin. It's not your fault. That's your parents' fault. But this is a weekend where we can come together.
Absolutely.
Because ultimately, the best case scenario for you guys is you are hosting the NFC title game, and the best scenario for the Vikings is that we are but a 5-hour drive to Lambeau, right out of Graham's neighborhood. Boom, there's a stadium, Proles West and everything, and an NFC border battle with a trip to Miami on the line. I'm excited about that.
That would be fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's never happened. I mean, the Packers and Vikings have played each other in the playoffs how many times? I've been to at least 3 of the games in Lambeau. But for the NFC Championship, a chance to go to the Super Bowl, my world would explode this upcoming week.
No, that would be absolutely fantastic. But to your next question about keys in today's game, obviously got to get through the 49ers first. And it's going to be a pain in the butt, gentlemen. I mean, it's cool or interesting or intriguing that these teams are so similar offensively. And you can weave your way through the 6 degrees of Gary Kubiak to Kyle Shanahan, a ball boy for his dad Mike, and all those little, and then of course the Kirk Cousins connection with Kyle Shanahan, all of these things kind of linking them together. They're both very good play action teams. They're both very good with bootleg action. They want to run the ball. These are 2 of 3 teams in the NFL that ran more than they passed in 2019. So in some ways, it's almost like they're scrimmaging each other. Only it counts and it's in January, so a lot of things are on the line. I just think that, speaking of the run game and all of that, I think that this is as big a Dalvin Cook game as there ever has been. And, I'm not breaking news by saying that, but you look at how this Vikings offense operates, and anytime that the Vikings have not effectively ran the ball, and you can even look at the New Orleans game, they ran for 5+ yards a carry in the first half. You go into half with the lead. At that point, you're dominating time of possession. The defense is giving Drew Brees fits. Couldn't figure out Taysom Hill, but thankfully we won the game. But then in the second half, they ran for 1.5 yards per carry. Things got closer than they needed to be. Needed a big play in overtime to get over the top. So, 2 things, running the ball, and then at some point, Kirk is going to have to stretch the field on this defense with Richard Sherman and everybody included. So from an offensive perspective, I need to see them running effectively early and often. And at some point, if we can protect Kirk today, he's got to find Diggs down the field, 30+ yards, and hopefully blow this thing open. So if we can do that early and maybe make Jimmy and those guys chase, we have a chance today.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the running game is obvious. We need to establish that, as San Fran's going to do the same, but it's going to be that deep ball that's going to get us the win.
Yeah, and I also believe on the other hand of just the running game is that offensive line of ours. Are they going to show up like they did last week against the Saints? That's going to be a huge key because we all know that San Fran defensive line and their front is powerful and healthy, supposedly, from what everybody's saying.
Yeah, how about that? I mean, it's as we're worried about Adam Thielen's potential bloody sock game coming up here after getting cleated in practice. And meanwhile, the Niners are getting everybody back healthy. So Dee Ford, he's quote-unquote questionable. He's going to play. And when he's playing, that defensive line pops. And it starts, you're bookending it with Armstead. You have Nick Bosa in the mix. These guys will sack the quarterback with regularity. Now, they haven't done it as well recently, but let's not just take regular season stats and just say that's how it's going to be today. This is a vaunted defensive line. And when we've seen it, we watched it with Zadarius Smith, your guys in Green Bay, handling the O-line against the Vikings Week 16 Monday Night Football. So the interior of the offensive line is not playing the best game of their careers today. We're going to have problems. That's just the nature of it. But again, similarly to what we saw with the Saints, how big a difference was it getting Dalvin Cook back healthy, active and aggressive and effective versus trying to run out Mike Boone on Monday night and try to perform an offensive scheme? It's a little bit different. but protecting Kirk today, keeping him upright, certainly an A topic.
I think the nice thing about week 16 and 17 was you had the ability to see what Boone can do. So when Dalvin Cook needs a breather, you can still bring in Boone for a play or two and keep running the ball, because I think the whole idea is to keep the ball out of San Francisco's hands. You have 6-7 minute drives. So being able to plug Boone in even for a play, I think is going to be very beneficial for the Vikings today.
Boone's going to be a non-factor. It's all about Madison.
Madison. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yep.
No, yeah. And Madison didn't play in the Green Bay game either.
Yep.
But to your point, the concept of having the second option, and Dalvin's going to get the lion's share of work today. But I would actually go backwards to your point and look at the Seattle game when Dalvin went down with one of like his 2 or 3 different shoulder bits this year.
Yeah.
You saw Madison operating in the short pass game, screen pass game, and running with some authority as well. So I would use that as an example. The running back stable that the Vikings have, I believe, is better than that of the 49ers from a pure talent standpoint.
Yep.
However, ultimately how Kyle Shanahan implements his three-headed beast with Coleman, Mostert, and even Breida, that is going to be the best rushing attack that the Vikings have faced all year. And what do we know what happens when teams run on us? You saw it in Seattle. Another good example. They ran for 218 yards on us. Kirk had mostly a fantastic game. It was not enough. You lose 37-30. If the Vikings are going to win today, that can't happen, obviously. And the big part about that is keeping that score line down. The lower scoring the game today, I believe, favors the Minnesota Vikings. So defensively, offensively, controlling it with the run game, some of those themes we've already talked about, all very important to getting out and moving on, hopefully, to a Porter Battle title game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be jacked. I know Green Bay Greg, his cousin, reached out, and if that matchup is possible, there might be 3 twist seats available at Lambeau Field. So we'd be heading down, making a day of it, and probably going live from the page and just getting super jacked
rowdy.
for that. Yeah.
No, that'll be awesome. I'm trying to find like a Country Inn and Suites or something in Appleton where I can drink at the Dirty Leprechaun and head on over on game day.
What do you – Nordo, you know your area.
Oh, yeah.
You got the whole Fox Valley covered. Good for you.
So
Well,
you're
I actually, full disclosure, I got family up in the Mora and Cambridge area.
Yep.
And so I am familiar with the drive up 65. And Appleton, you're right. I know my college towns with cheap beers. Yes, I do.
When you go to college in Wisconsin, yeah, you're familiar with the whole Oshkosh all the way to La Crosse and everything in between.
Yeah, they serve PBR at the Pizza Hut. So I know that. There's one.
that sounds about right. Yeah, cheese and beer. So what are some of your responsibilities then with the fan for the game, leading up here very soon?
Well, today, not to clip on your stream up in East Bethel, but starting at noon, Meatos and I will do a 90-minute pre to the pre. And then, of course, we will have our official pregame starting around 1:30 on KFAN. And then about 2:30 on the Vikings radio network, kickoff 3:35. And my responsibility is just to sit here in the station and just be a fan today. I mean,
nice.
You guys, if you listen to our show or if you listen to the fan, I'm not trying to be a reporter. I'm not newsy. I don't want to break big bits and be the guy that has wrong. I am Boob, and I'm going to be screaming all afternoon today, hoping this team comes through for us.
It's kind of funny because we all had questions set aside for you, and one of my questions was, how do you separate your fandom from your job as a producer? And I just love the fact that you just pretty much said you don't have to, and you don't do it. I love it.
No, and there are different tastes. Sports radio, and if you listen in many markets throughout the country, you'll know very, very obviously that the fan is different. And it is about having the strongest takes. Team isn't doing well, get on the mic and yell for everybody to be fired. Be loud, be obnoxious, argue, be confrontational. With us, man, I mean, I was born and raised in Mankato. I had training camp where I would go down, and before all the security and everything, I could shake hands with Chris Goldman after practice. That's how I became a fan. So the concept of trying to be impartial screw all that, homies. I want this team to win. And as we say here in the building, 54th time is the charm with Super Bowl 54 in Miami. Hopefully that comes true.
Love it.
Well, we know you got some responsibilities, but we appreciate and you have, coming on Twist with us and, appreciate the support. Everybody kind of live streaming and following along with us live here. Be sure to share and like the page. And I'm sure we'll be listening to you and Sauce on our drive back home from East Bethel.
Tell Sinekin I say hi.
Okay. Just look, by the way, Dave Sinekin is our favorite guy, but he is the most smug human I think I've ever met in my life. I assume that's all Packers fans.
Oh, yeah. Every one of us.
Green Bay, Greg.
Every one of us.
It's the only time I'll ever say it. Go Pack, go tomorrow. But first, we got to have the good guys in purple handle our business today. And we'll have beers at Crowell's West next weekend.
All right. Thanks, Nordo. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Nordo.
Thanks, Nordo.
Skull is right.
I love
How
it.
awesome was that?
That was great.
Some guy that you listen to on the radio daily, and then you get to interview him. That's why what we do is so much fun. So that's awesome.
That was fun. Revving up, the Skull Saturday playoff edition Twist live at East Bethel Smokies Pub and Grill. They have a special event going on. We're kind of leading up to it. They're doing a Chuck Foreman autograph signing that's taking place right over there in the corner. And fingers crossed, we're hoping to have Chuck on to end the show. So that'll be Skull-tastic. Now let's kick it off with the show.
All right, guys. So I got headlines like every other week. But first and foremost, we got a little plug. I got the privilege to go to the Minnesota Wild versus Calgary Flames game last week and sit in the club level. Those tickets were provided by So Min Machinery Sales, headquartered in Dodge Center, Minnesota, and they have been in business for 48 years.
Ooh.
These guys are your metal fabrication experts for the entire Midwest.
Wow.
We're talking Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Nebraska, and even Wisconsin. They offer fabrications, machinery solutions on any machine that your project would require, from iron workers to fiber lasers and everything in between. Some of the main lines they represent are Piranha, Hydemech, Fachin, Summit Machine Tools, Derma, and Hans Laser. Visit them online at somin.com. That's SOMINN.com.
Somin.com.
So thank you for those tickets. First headline I've got today, we're going to go to women's college basketball.
Ooh,
Why not?
women's hoops. Let's go.
So Baylor's women's basketball team beat UConn 74-58, snapping UConn's 98-game home win streak. March 12, 2013 was the last time UConn lost at home. Just thinking about that is crazy. Also, they shot 2 for 18 in the fourth quarter. That won't get you a W.
Nope, that ain't going to do it.
Second one I have is Michigan Wolverines men basketball beat Purdue in double OT 84-78. Senior guard Xavier Simpson led the way for Michigan with 22 points and 9 assists. Michigan is currently ranked 19th in the AP poll. Third, we've got Lakers offered Anthony Davis the max contract extension, 4 years, $146 million, and Davis turned it down.
No thanks.
If he does become a free agent after the season, he can get 5 years, $202 million. Many believe AD will re-sign with the Lakers after the season, but I wouldn't count on 5 years. Fourth one we have is the odds to win the Super Bowl. Why not?
Let's do it.
So we've got the Baltimore Ravens favorited. Right below them is actually San Fran. So what an upset that will be today. Then you got Kansas City Chiefs, the Green Bay Packers, Seattle Seahawks, the Minnesota Vikings.
Doo-doo.
Get it right. And then Tennessee Titans and the Houston Texans. So those are your odds and those are your headlines. Let's get it.
All right. So Luke says we got to try the barbecue egg rolls. Again, we are live at Smokies Pub and Grill.
I'm gonna have the chili brisket.
Chili brisket.
Yeah,
huh?
that's what they said is on special
Dude,
today.
I don't know, but it smells like success in here. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
right
Chris, one of the owners, he brought us back to the smoker out back, which was
now. The pit.
The Pit. All right. So on this day in sports, January 11th, 1902, Johnny Briggs, English cricket all-rounder, dies of complications from an epileptic seizure at
R.I.P. Briggs.
39. Ouch. 2019, J.D. Gibbs, Joe's what, kid?
It's got to be.
American Auto Racer team owner dies of degenerative neurological disease at 49.
R.I.P. Gibbs.
So events on January 11th, 1915.
Back in the day.
Jacob Rupert and Colonial Tinglehast, Houston, purchased the New York Yankees for $460,000.
Chump change.
That's a great investment.
Oh,
There was
wow.
like $4 billion now.
Rupert paid his portion with straight cash, homie.
Believe that.
And in 1976, Pistol Pete Maravich married his college sweetheart, Jackie Elliser, in Louisiana.
Louisiana, hold on to that L.
On this day in sports.
Inside the home of the Timberwolves, high schoolers with NBA dreams already. B.J. Boston and Jalen Suggs, just two of the stars that have attracted 15,000 people to the Target Center. And this is the Chipotle Clash of Champions. As Sierra Canyon, the two-time defending California State champion, matches up with Minnehaha Academy, a three-time defending Minnesota State champion.
So last weekend, Benz and I had the opportunity. He hooked it up with some tickets. We went to the Target Center, 17,000 people strong, more than any Timberwolves game the three of us have ever been to, for a clash of the Titans with Sierra Canyon and Minnehaha. You know, I know me personally, I was jacked up to go, super excited. I'm a LeBron. That's my dude. So to go see Bronny was amazing. I think the pregame, kind of watching him do his thing and have some fun and get loose, was almost more exciting than the game. But why don't you break down a little
But
of
then
what we saw?
also, I mean, you know, going on to that, Bronny didn't get much playing time, so then you got to see some of these other studs. And I mean, both of these rosters are deep with five-star recruits. So you got to see, you know, Kentucky commit B.J. Boston.
Number 12 in the country.
Yep, and he led Sierra Canyon with 27 points and 8 rebounds. And then you got to see Jalen Suggs.
Number
who-
6 in the
who
country.
had just committed the night before to Gonzaga. He dropped 23 in the W. I mean, the Red Hawks ended up coming up with a huge upset, 78-58. You also got to see our boy Chet. Keep your eye out for a 7-footer named Chet, because dude's lankier than lanky, and he balled out. I think
Get the Chet out of here.
Yeah, I think he had like 9 blocks. I mean, the
13, I think.
something like that. Nuts.
It was
seemed like
insane.
every time you got in the paint, that was Chet's house. So great game, great atmosphere. Lady in front of us paid $300 a ticket.
Ripped
she
off.
got took.
Yeah.
She wasn't very happy with her daughter who sent her the link. So if you get a chance to go to some games like this in the future, go.
Yeah, I think they'll do it next year, too.
Oh, yeah.
Chet's a junior. He's number 2 rated in the country.
Dude crossed over Steph Curry with his own move and then dunked. If you haven't seen that clip, go see Chet cross over Steph. And then Steph Curry in a freaking, they were doing an invitational.
Gotcha.
And he crosses him over, drives, and dunks. Go check out Chet.
Master P was he was there as well. Make him say,
Hersey.
his kid Hersey. And then Mercy is his younger son who's not playing yet. But they call Minnesota their hometown now. So again, it was super hyped up. It was super fun. I hope they do that again next year. So
Beautiful.
Here's the left-hander, Tua Tagovailoa, down the sideline, touchdown.
I've decided that I'll be declaring and entering the 2020 NFL Draft.
So Tua Tagovailoa.
You got it. Good.
Tagovailoa. Sean Parker, you'd be proud of me. Tua Tagovailoa.
That was a little worse. But you got to kind of flow through it.
Whatever.
But it's Tua to everyone.
So Tua.
Yeah.
is going to the NFL.
Yep.
Declared. What do you guys think?
You know, I think it's good for him. I don't see how you leave that kind of money on the table, especially with players in the past that have tried that. Matt Leinart, to name one, wanted to go back for the senior year. I think that he's best to do it this year because next year there's going to be some guys who are definitely going to go ahead of him.
Sure.
So I like the idea. I know you had a list up, Mike, of the draft order. I was thinking back to what you guys said last week about, him going to the Chargers at number 6. That would be a great way for him to just sit out for a year.
Yep.
I don't see him passing. I don't see Miami passing him up. I don't think Miami's going to, even if they have to take another year because he's still hurt.
Sure.
I don't see them passing him up.
And the crazy part about it, too, is that Detroit is really high on him.
Yeah.
And I would like to see them, like you have said, have a guy where he can get 100% healthy, not play this next year, because you see all these rookie quarterbacks that come in, they get all the pressure, they have to perform. It's like, dude, just came out of college. Now you want me to play this fast game called the NFL.
Yeah.
Crazy. Let me give you a little stats about his career. So he played 32 games at Alabama, threw for 7,442 yards, 87 tutties, 11 picks, 69.3 completion percentage. Injury prone, you might as well say it because he is. Another thing about it, for him to go this year, if he doesn't go to the top 5 picks, his best bet is going to a team that's pretty stable. You're going to a middle-of-the-road team rather than going number 1 overall like a Joe Burrow and going to a Cincinnati Bengals team that is trash, and you're expected to change that completely around.
Which he will. He's a beast.
But that's what I'm saying. You got rubes like us who expect the unexpected, and that's the toughest part about that. So I wish nothing but the best for Tua, but it's going to be tough.
Best case scenario, like you said, Greg, is he goes somewhere and sits, especially with that injury. We don't know how he's coming off of it. Yep. I do like the Chargers, and I do agree. The draft really starts at the Detroit Lions at 3.
Yep.
They have a lot of needs. Stafford is getting a little long in the tooth, but he's not over. So that would be a case kind of like the Packers where he'd be sitting 3 years, and I don't really like that. But then it's, do they move on? Obviously the Dolphins have a need. I don't really see them going past 5 either. I know the Raiders have 2 first-round picks, would love a Tua, but I also don't see them moving to get a quarterback. As much as you've seen Gruden in the past with his quarterback camps and stuff like that, he's high on receiver.
Sure.
So they have, I believe, 12 and then 19, where they could either go, receiver at 19 and get Trayvon Diggs, Stefan's brother, who's one of the top-rated cornerbacks.
Sure.
So really, the draft starts at 3, but he's definitely a top 10 pick in my opinion.
Don't sleep on number 7. I don't know if you mentioned it, but the Carolina Panthers, new coach. Coach is gonna want his guy. He's not gonna want. Now that's not to say Cam maybe will stay, but you've got similarities in Tua and Cam. I think Tua's got a way better arm, of course, but the injury-prone aspect of it. But still,
you, Shane.
New coaches want their guy because if they're going to go down with the ship, they want their captain. So,
I think best case scenario for him is the Chargers, and like you guys said last week, have him sit a year with Tyrod Taylor running the show. Sure. I just don't see him going by the Dolphins. I think this year worked out great for the Dolphins. They held on to respect by winning 5 games, and then they're still going to get their guy that everyone knew that they were going to go for before the season even started.
Sounds good.
The NFL pick segment. I'm super excited to see what the lead is. I know, with the games kind of dwindling down. Let's hear it, Greg. Let's hear it.
All right, going into the division round, we got Mike at 18. He's leaving out. Okay. we got Matt at 16.
There I am.
And then I'm at 13, so I'm falling behind. Great. Going into this week's games, usually what I did last week, I went in order of when the games were being televised. I changed up a little bit this week. We're going to hold off a little bit on one of the games. So let's start off. We got Tennessee at Baltimore.
Sure.
Baltimore's 9.5-point favorite.
Oof.
Who do you like?
Ravens. They're going to win by 14 plus.
Yeah. Mike, what do you think?
I got Ravens too.
Yeah, I'm going to You know what? If I was putting the amount of money that I needed that I cared about,
Yeah.
I would go with the Ravens. I think they're going to blow them out, but I gotta hope that Henry runs the ball, keeps it low,
Sure.
because I need to make up points.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're in trouble. You basically have to just.
I have to go against you guys and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for those
And
of you,
you're so close to me. I hate it.
for those of you taking my picks, you might not want to, go to the bank first and then do it, because I'm just going against them. All right, next game we got Houston and Kansas City. We got Kansas City also a 9.5-point favorite.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with my boy JJ. I'm gonna go with Houston. I'm gonna
Justin James.
Justin James Watt. Give me the points.
I'm taking Kansas City.
Beautiful. I'll take Houston for the spread.
Okay, I know that
like
9.5 points is tough.
Yeah.
I want to go Houston. That might be one you make up, but really, I think Mahomes has kind of been in this shadow of last year. Lamar's taken all this hype, and I think he's sick and tired of it.
Sure.
First playoff game, let's go. He snuck into a bye. He's just going to show everybody, I'm ready. Let's go.
Next.
KC.
All right, next game we'll go up to Green Bay,
That
Seattle.
sounds horrible.
Well, I'll tell you a story about some sorry old folks way up Wisconsin way. Yeah, they're all a bunch of boozers, man. They're all a bunch of losers. Yeah, I'm talking about old Green Bay.
Greg.
Yeah, I'm telling you, son, there ain't nothing sadder than the boys in the yellow and green. In fact, they kind of bring in a whole new meaning to being on the
Special teams. All right,
Beautiful.
Green Bay.
My Super Bowl rings will take it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, your rings. Yep.
All right,
Here we go.
Green Bay 4.5-point favorites. I'll start it off. I'm going with the Pack. Go Pack, go.
I like cheese.
Matthew.
Oh, man.
Dude, your boy Nordo even told you have to be a Packer fan tomorrow.
That's true, and I understand that, but this is in the concept of this game, which I'm trying to win. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the Seahawks. Because I got 4.5, right?
4.5 is what you're getting.
Yeah, that's fine.
What do you got?
I want to go,
I like cheese.
but I think I'm just going to pick the Seahawks so Matt can't gain anything on me.
Oh, strategy.
Strategy,
Yep.
defense. So you can win one, but
I
yeah,
got a couple opportunities. All right, let's go with it. We got the Vikings at the 49ers.
Yeah.
First game up. 49ers are 7-point favorites.
Yeah.
That's a weird number.
It's a weird number.
That's going. I mean, that's screaming building buildings in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
That's a push right there. I'm thinking. But what do you guys? I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna take the 49ers. I'll give the 7.
Yeah. You can walk home, too. East Bethel is quite the hike.
You didn't even drive.
That's what I'm saying here.
I did.
I'm going with them purple. I'm gonna say it. Go ahead. Take the Niners by the spread.
Yeah, you got the Niners, you got the perp.
Yeah.
I be jealous, go to the ball. Purple rain in control. Remember when they tried to say we would never blow?
What?
Now we the kings of the north. I
Go
be
ahead.
jealous, go.
To the bowl.
That's his. Mission Miami.
I didn't even make up points.
That's good. It's a good excuse to pick what you pick.
All right. So we got our picks in. I am looking forward to that.
There you go. A little carousel. Beautiful.
Got the NFL coaching carousel. So we knew about Ron Rivera to the Redskins. That was already done during the show last week. Your boy Mike McCarthy went to the Cowboys.
That's gonna be interesting.
And that's, more of a notable signing. I think we knew he was going to go, I thought maybe the Browns, but I definitely thought he was going some year. The two surprises, obviously the Giants, who got Joe Judge from the Patriots.
Yep.
Who?
Yeah.
And then the Panthers was the big one with Baylor coach Matt Rule. They agreed to a 7-year contract worth $60 million with the potential to be $70 million. And the real kicker is they bought him out from Baylor for $6 or $7 million as well. So they
Pay the man.
spent a lot of money to get him. What do you like? All of them? Do you like some of them?
I like some of them. Obviously, the McCarthy thing. I mean, I get it. Don't get me wrong, but also I think it's just Jerry Jones grasping at straws, wants a veteran coach because he doesn't want to go to the new wave. And I think besides that, I'm really interested. I don't know if you're going to talk about the Browns at all, but I'm interested to see after that McDaniels interview yesterday where his wife and him fly out there and then his wife and him leave. And they say, oh, we're going to think about this. We need to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. But also they got the market cornered right now. They're the only one that needs a head coach, so why not take your sweet time? The rule to Carolina, that will be interesting. Like I said, is he going to shuffle the deck? I mean, you got CMC, you build around that and forget about Cam. What are you doing?
Well, that's the interesting thing is it's not like he's even been established at Baylor. I mean, he
Right.
rebuilt Temple. He was at Baylor for 2 years. Now he's going straight to the NFL. It seems like it was a very reactionary move to hurry up and get a guy in.
Sure.
And I'm not saying he's not a great coach because he is from everything I've seen.
Yeah.
When it comes to what's going on with the Cowboys, it seems interesting, but when you have players like Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, even if you start looking at the wide receivers, all of these high-profile guys, Mike McCarthy is a very vanilla coaching. I mean, he scripts his first 15 plays. It's a very West Coast system.
Yep.
So one thing Aaron Rodgers hated about him was he never took chances. Aaron Rodgers is the type of guy who always, give me the ball, let me audible.
Sure.
And it doesn't seem like that's – I mean, you might be the perfect guy for your owner, which is really what boils down to all that matters.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like he's the greatest guy for that personnel. So
And he might be the structure that Dak needs. He might be that. Here's what's going on, Dak. You don't have to get jittery. This is what's going on. Here's that. Here's that.
But the other thing, too, is he's an offensive coach. Your defense is what killed you last year.
Correct.
So, they should have thought a little harder about bringing in someone on the defensive side.
Well, they're not getting Zimmer.
Yeah, well, that was the interesting thing. Like we talked about last week, I thought there was a chance that they could bring in Zimmer and then just move up Stefanski to head coach. But obviously that's not going to happen. Now you guys got Zimmer for sure next year,
And
regardless.
Zim we trust.
Yep. See, and I like what you said, Matt. I think with a player like Rodgers, who's got some Favre to him, who's a gunslinger, who's a Hall of Famer, he doesn't want that. But somebody like Dak, I think, needs that. Here's your first 15. We're going to do it like this. And then once the game flow starts going, then we let you loose. We're going to give the ball to Zeke. We're going to be doing all these different things because they still have the number one offense in the NFL. So Mike McCarthy's not going to hurt that. He's just going to big brother it a little bit and help guide them, along the way. And you did mention the Browns. They are looking at our boy too, which is weird. I think they were maybe even talking to him today.
Sure.
We got a game today, and then they, I don't know if they're trying to throw a wrench in us. I think that's a little weird. To me, I'd wait till after the game. I think they knew enough about him already when he was the main guy last year. So I'd hate to see him go, but I know Sherman's still out there, and
The thing about the Browns is, Matt, you even said when you bring in McDaniels, you never want to interview a guy that you want and have him leave town without a contract.
Right.
But at the same point, they're not in a hurry.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. That's why it would have been weird if there were other teams in contention, but it's not.
Yeah, it's
You got a Black Friday sale and the store ain't even open. You're inside posting.
Yeah, and Josh McDaniels he was born to coach this offense.
Right.
With all those high-profile players, whether it's Baker or OBJ, any of these guys.
Sure.
Whoever you have, this is the type of offense that he wants.
Yeah.
You just have to find a really good defensive coordinator.
Correct. Love it.
It's our time. It started 70 months ago, right? All for this moment. All for this moment. It's about honor. It's about respect. We win this game. Carolina.
Do I think the Vikes can win out of town? Yes, Shane, I do. I picked them.
Did it last week, Shane. Keep
All
up.
right, so Breeze and Brady, both Hall of Fame quarterbacks, both exit early. I think that was the second time in Brady's career he's been out this early. So what do you guys think is next for them? Are they going back to the same squad, retiring? What are these two doing? Greg?
I think Breeze is coming back. I think that they're not in a hurry, and they have so many part-time quarterback weapons, whether it's Bridgewater or Hill, guys that they can plug in to give Breeze that rest. I think that Brady's coming back in the NFL. I just don't know if it's with the Patriots.
Sure.
I think that he's my age.
Yep.
And that might be young in the real world, but in the NFL, when you're that age, it's
What world is that young?
Yeah, not in the real world, not in the NFL.
Not even in your world, Greg. It's okay. So I'm going to agree with you on Breeze staying where he's at, but also I'm going to disagree with you and say that Brady isn't going anywhere either. You look at jersey sales from last year, from this current season, who's number one? Tom Brady. Still crazy. He is the Patriots. And, you listen to other shows on ESPN and things like that, and all of the people that have either played with him or not, they're saying that without him, they would be a 3-win team. And that's crazy, even though he isn't Tom of old, but he's still Tom Brady. I say that they still ride it out until his wheels fall off, until he's ready to go. And he already tweeted that he's not ready to go. He's here to stay. So, yeah, that's what I got to say.
The interesting thing with New Orleans is all the quarterbacks are up.
Right.
So Taysom Hill, Teddy Bridgewater, all the contracts are up. I think he stays. Brady, I think, stays, but I think it would be interesting to cement his legacy going to somewhere like the Colts that have an established defense, a great offensive line, and would give it to Bill Belichick.
Sure.
So the Vikes are playing at 3:30 today.
Captain Kirk, baby.
Yeah, so you asked last week, Green Bay, Greg, if he was worth the money, the quan, the moolah.
The cheddar.
Actually, I just said he was a player to watch. He had to prove that he was worth it. I never said he wasn't. I said he had to prove that he was worth it.
We'll have our analytics guy go back and
Sure.
look at that.
He did. I'll give him credit. He finally came out and won a big game that didn't start at noon, like you were talking last week.
Sure. Yeah, and I do agree with that. I mean, he did play an afternoon game
Actually,
in the playoff.
Yeah.
It was a nooner,
That's
right?
right. I apologize.
So it was a nooner, but still, that was what was so clutch about it. And that's what he does. And now you're going to see today, even though I hate moving that field goal back on Kirk, we constantly, me personally as a Vikings fan, I constantly move it back as like, okay, he's got to do a game-winning drive. Does it, and then I'll move it back. Like, he's got to be able to do it without Delvin, and then he does that. It's things that because who else can you go and shop for? Like Mike was saying in a previous episode, who else was there?
Yeah, quarterbacks like that don't hit
Right.
the free agent market. So when they do, and you have a need like the Vikings did,
Correct.
you go sign them, guaranteed money or not.
And not only that, but did you see, in that clip that Mike played, when he was in the locker room, how much he had control at the end of that game and how pumped up he was. And everybody's riding around him. And that's a dangerous Kirk Cousins. When you have that locker room and you're not worried about, are people talking smack behind you? No, they're riding with you, and that's what's going to be crucial today.
Yeah.
One thing that I got to give Kirk Cousins credit for, and it's not talked about a lot, is he wasn't that top 5 draft pick. He was a 3rd-round draft pick, and more importantly, he was the second quarterback taken by the team that drafted him.
Correct.
He was never drafted to be in this role. He was drafted as a career backup behind Robert Griffin. And now look at him. Now he's on his second team, leading him to the division playoffs with a legitimate chance of making it to the NFC Championship game. So I got to give him credit, even though he doesn't have, up until last week, didn't have that signature win as a franchise quarterback. He's getting there.
Sure. The reason he was drafted, and he was a 4th-round draft pick. third, whatever, is because the ownership and the coaches were mixed on RG3.
Yep.
So they had to go high in the draft with a proven quarterback who could be a starter and has proven that he is a starter. So he wasn't a 6th-round pick like, hey, let's take a flyer on this guy. I mean, he competed at a high level for Michigan State, and they drafted a 1st-rounder, they drafted a 3rd. I still say 4th. I'd like to fact check that.
All right.
Greg. Ugh. So any keys to victory today?
I think what it boils down to for the Vikings is you got to run Dalvin, run him some more, and then like Nordo was saying, you got to work in the passing game. I think that even more important than Thielen is going to be once again Rudolph, Irv Smith. Get those 5-10 yard dump offs, and then that's going to open up Diggs.
Right.
Diggs might not catch a first half pass.
Yeah.
I don't think that matters.
I think another big thing is that you're starting off quick. You got to start quick. I know it's going to be tough. Defense is going to be hungry. I'm not worried about them. Our secondary, unfortunately, you got to be worried about them simply because you got Trey Waynes and Rhodes closed. And if any of them go down, you got Sendejo.
As our slot slid into.
Thinking about that, but also
Curse is out too.
Yep. So thinking about that, I think it will be a barn burner, and it's going to be high anxiety. But other than that, Kirk Cousins was drafted 4th round in 2012.
Thank you,
by the
Green Bay
Washington
Greg.
Redskins.
Wrong again.
So
What's
we'll take
new?
that W and another W later today.
Just for Greg.
Yeah, there you go, Greg.
It's his favorite soundbite. Keys, matchups, players to watch for really is going to be our linebackers against their runners.
Sure.
Eric Kendricks and Barr, 2 of the best linebackers. What I really want to watch for, and honestly, Green Bay, I think, exposed the Vikings on this, was their pressure and our offensive line. And I think we did show that last week, how we can kind of handle that. But, man, the Saints are nothing compared to – San Fran has been drafting 1st-round picks for years to get to this point to have that front seven. So I think that's our biggest key to victory right there is, can we stop them? Can we establish somewhat of a run game? I know they're great against the screen, so that's why I had mentioned earlier in the interview with Nordo is it's going to be huge, those play action, those rollouts, those bombs to Diggs, Cousins to Diggs, those are the 2 best passing, longest. Oh, here we go.
How are you, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get the Green Bay fan up. We'll let Chuck sit down.
Got Chuck Foreman here
Yes,
with
sir.
us. Take a seat.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah, so
there you are.
we're live
I
at
need to do this from my house.
we're live
my
at
own
Smokey's Pub and
podcast.
Grill. Chuck just showed up. They're doing an autograph signing here at noon. So come on out to East Bethel and join Chuck
I thought
Foreman.
this was wild.
It's close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Either way, we both found it. So
Now I know why my GPS was giving me that's a wild.
an interesting stat, Delvin Cook joined Chuck this year by being the 4th Minnesota Viking to join the 1,000-yard rushing, 500-yard receiving, 2 of which Chuck Foreman did. And that's back in the 70s when they weren't, catching the ball and doing stuff like Delvin.
Actually, it's called the West Coast offense now. But that's Jerry Burns and my offense, and we call it the purple offense.
Oh, I like that.
So that's the name of that too. So
Sure.
Roger Craig gets credit. We were doing that way before everybody else.
Yeah.
So, we don't get the credit for it, but, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, and how much ahead of the time you guys were, especially you.
We were way ahead of our time in a lot of things we did.
Yeah.
And, back in those days, a running back, if you hit the 1,000-yard plateau, that was the key.
Yep.
As far as receiving goes, they didn't even count that.
Sure.
They only judge you on your rushing yards.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me. But we were doing all the things that Kamara, McCaffrey, all those guys are doing now, Dalvin. We were doing that way before anybody else.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly. So you think we got a chance today?
I think we got a chance to do anything.
Yep.
I think from top to bottom, our roster is as good as anybody. The consistency part is where we have issues with, whether we start the game fast or whether we get behind and then we got to fight back at the end of the game. No,
Sure.
we got to play great football from start to finish.
Yeah. 4 quarters, man.
All the way. Every play.
Agreed.
Well, we appreciate having you on. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to number 6 episode at Twist live in East Bethel at Smokey's Pub and Grill. Skull Vikes, let's get a win, baby. Woo!
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you,
Thank
Chuck.